Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. All the characters in the story who enter into intimate relationships are over 18 years old. This is a trial, young man, not a court of justice. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., my colleague, and I had been working on this project for a little over a month, and we're now ready to complete it. Everything was in place. Not a single detail was left unattended. We were ready to pull the proverbial trigger. After going to the hotel bar for a drink at night, we carefully examined the situation. There were a handful of business travelers in varying degrees of intoxication. There is nothing unusual about this. I was looking for companionship. My partner preferred privacy, and we sat down at different ends of the bar. He chose a place closer to the door, and I went to the far corner and sat down on a stool next to a guy about 30 years old. He was well-dressed, tall, and had pleasant features. I've always been a great judge of people, even when I was casually evaluating someone. This guy was confident in himself, and that he was the smartest guy in the room. After receiving my glass of 10-year-old Michter's single-barrel straight rye whiskey, I struck up a conversation. In town on business? Yes, a 2-day sales meeting in a hurry. Are you? Yes, but for me it's just one day. I'm going home in the morning. Where are you from? Miami, you? Dallas. I don't mind coming to Minneapolis this time of year. It's damn hot in Texas in July. My name is Nick. He held out his hand. Nice to meet you, Nick. I'm Brody. Interesting name. I don't think I know any Brody. Jaws was released in the summer of '75. My father was a big fan of them. I was born that fall, and he named me after Roy Scheider's character, Sheriff Brody. A few minutes were devoted to my favorite movies, sports, drinks, etc. After a few minutes, it became clear that my initial observation was correct. Young Mr. Nick was most in love with himself. Whichever movie I mentioned, he had a better movie. Great Scotch? No, he had it better. Being a curious guy by nature, I just let him talk and brag about himself for almost an hour. When it became clear that his tongue was loosened and his brain was telling him that he was on top, I changed the subject. So, Nick, what about the women? I don't see the ring, so I guess you're not tied down. Are you a guy with the same girl, or are you just going with the flow? Damn it, dude. Let me tell you about the greatest concert in the world, Brody. I leaned towards him, making it clear that I was genuinely interested. Married women. That's where the action takes place. Single girls are either so prim that they won't even look at you, or so confident that they wouldn't understand what good lovemaking is even if he was standing right in front of them. Really? But what is the difference between married women? I assume that if someone is married, then she will at least try to be faithful. Huh? Are you kidding me? It's not the 1950s, and you're not on Leave It to Beaver, buddy. Most of the married women I've met, traveling on business or returning home to Dallas, enjoy the thrill of a mysterious man. The idea of getting some kind of bolt behind the back of a loving hubby is so exciting that even the sweetest soccer moms I've met turn my brains out. What about husbands? What about them? Damn it, if they can't satisfy the wife, she'll find someone who can. They may be good lovers, but she just wants to diversify her life. Those who are older, over 40, just want to know that they are not over the hill. As long as you know which line to feed them and which way to go up, when you get them, they just melt in your hands. As for my husband, why should I care? It's intriguing. Let me buy you a drink. I want to hear more. Of course, Brody, you drink fine whiskey, which tells me that you are a man of the world and can appreciate what I say. I called the bartender over, and he refilled Nick's glass. I enjoyed sipping my Michter's slowly. Nick hit a little harder. Instead of enjoying the $50 whiskey, he gulped it down. Young punk, I thought, continuing my interrogation. So, do any of these conquests of yours end up in the divorce court? I don't keep count, but I'm sure some of them are. I've only been caught a couple of times, and I'm not expecting a result. I'm doing this for fun, not to steal a guy's wife. My only interest is to make love to some easily accessible woman and have a good time. If she gets kicked to the curb, what the hell do I care? Even if there are children who will be in the center of events? What the fuck, Brody? Are you my priest or my drinking buddy? I'm not going to hurt the kids, but if some mom wants to jump on my bones and lie around for a couple of hours, I agree. As I said, These married fools are some of the wildest on the planet. Okay, dude, I'm not judging. Are there any recent examples of those that have proved malleable? He grinned from ear to ear. Yes, about 4 months ago I returned home to Dallas, to the local watering hole. Several women enter together. It looks like one of those girls' parties. They each have an engagement ring on their finger, and at first they hung out together, just drinking and laughing. But I can spot the beautiful ones from a mile away. If you know what to look for, it's easy. Anyway, I check them all, but I keep coming back to the brunette who has beautiful brown hair and big brown eyes. She seems to be one of the oldest in the group. It turns out that she was 42 years old, and as I said, she began to wonder if she was still beautiful. She was damn beautiful, tall, with long, gorgeous legs that ended in one of the sweetest waists I've ever seen. Beautiful eyes to boot. I mean, she was the whole package, and I got a few flirty smiles when we looked into each other's eyes. So I waited until one or two other women were invited to dance before making my move. You don't ask first. You need a woman who may not be desperate, but who is looking for someone who will tell her that she is beautiful. You need someone who's nervous about not being chosen yet. They are the easiest to get. Anyway, she agrees to have a drink and then dance. Soon she is in my arms, rubbing against me and breathing heavily in my ear. I do it slowly, lowering my arms, but not too fast. But after one or two songs, she moans when I squeeze and touch her. Now I know she's mine. We leave quickly and head to the hotel across the street, where I make love to her, the best thing in my life. I mean, she's crazy about it. At this point, Nick takes a deep breath and pulls himself together, perhaps realizing that he is too worked up. He gets up from the bar stool. Let me take a leak, and then I'll finish the story. You won't believe what happened next. While Nick is away, I order us 2 more servings. My colleague approaches with a bored look. Anything exciting or unusual? What is it? He asks casually. No, as always, the same song. Do you think you'll be ready to end this soon enough? Yes, I think old Nick and I are finishing our last drink. Without further conversation, he returns to his seat at the end of the bar, orders a Michelob Ultra, and starts looking through his phone. Nick is coming back. He takes the glass and drains it without thanking me. He's too drunk to think about cultural niceties like manners. So you were talking. Oh yeah, and suddenly there's a knock on the door and some guy shouts, "Open up, Mandy. I know you're there. Open the door right now." He must have had some kind of tracking device in his phone. Mandy was hot, but certainly not the sharpest pencil in the box. She just looks at me and whispers, oh no, it can't be. This is my husband, Carl." She starts sobbing and breathing fast, and all I think about is that I need to get the hell out. He's pounding, she's wailing, and I'm getting dressed as fast as I can. I'm ready to leave in less than a minute, so I open the door and try to squeeze past hubby Carl. He clung to me, but he wasn't a big guy, and I can take care of myself. I press him against the wall and hold him there for just a second. There is a blinding rage in his eyes. Calm down, Carl. I don't want to hurt you. I don't know you. I just met your wife and I'm leaving right now. I push him hard and he falls to the floor. I walk out the door and down the hall before he can do something stupid that would lead to me kicking his ass. The last thing I hear as I head for the exit is her screaming, "This is not what it looks like." Now I'm laughing my head off as I run. Not what it looks like. What a stupid fool. It was exactly what it looked like. Mom was brainwashed. She cheated on her husband because she wanted thrills. Nick grinned as he finished his story. I don't know what happened, and like I said, I don't care. I got the baby I wanted. Sweet baby Mandy got the good night she needed, and Carl got what he deserved. But that's how cookies crumble, isn't it, Brody, old boy? I think so, Nick, I replied, looking at my drinking buddy and hiding my true feelings perfectly. We sat in silence for a minute or so when Nick started rocking back and forth on the bar stool. I grabbed him and held him in place. Take it easy, Nicky, baby. I think you may have had too much to drink. Are you okay? Dude, the whiskey got on my nerves. I think I'd better go to bed. He tried unsuccessfully to stand up. I caught him before he fell and leaned him against the counter. Do you have a room key, Nick? I'd better help you get to bed. I don't think you can handle this on your own. Yeah, thanks, dude, he said, taking out his room key. 419, if you don't mind. Help me get to the elevator and the room. It's not a problem. I'm glad to help my new friend. I nodded to my colleague, who understood everything. He went to pay the bill at the bar while I escorted a drunk Nick to his room. I dragged him through the door and threw him on the bed. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate your help. I'm usually better with alcohol, but today I seem to be a lightweight. By the way, Brody, I've never asked you what you do or if you have a lover on the side. I almost felt a tiny bit of pity when I looked down at him. He had such a silly grin on his face. He looked ridiculous. Well, Nick, I have a unique job. It's a very lucrative business and can be a bit dangerous, but I make good money on my own and I always take my job carefully. Nick seemed about to pass out, but I must have piqued his curiosity because he stayed with me for another minute or two. Okay, so what are you doing? I kill people, Nick. Huh. Very funny, Brody. Come on, dude. What are you doing? I sighed heavily, pulled a chair to the edge of the bed and sat down, knowing that Nick would not be able to move abruptly, and indeed would not be able to move at all in about 3 minutes. I kill people like you, Nick. People who commit disgusting acts towards others, often destroying their lives and the lives of people around them. I'm working for a gentleman named Carl Danvers tonight. I believe you met him a few months ago at a hotel in Dallas. Nick's eyes began to widen in fear. He tried to sit up, but couldn't. That's right, Nick. You used his wife, but more importantly, you fucked their lives. They are on the verge of divorce, and 3 innocent children aged 7, 9, and 12 are about to become part of another dysfunctional family. Carl found me through a friend of a former client. Through this mutual contact, he asked me to balance the scales of justice. He knows that his cheating wife will use our joke about the legal system to her advantage, so justice in court should not be expected. However, he has enough resources to ensure justice for a piece of shit like you. Carl is crushed, Nick, and you did this to him. His children are devastated. His wife decided that instead of fighting her guilt, she would advise him to come to terms with it. She, they say, had a right to her fun. He may not be able to do anything about this fool, but he sure as hell isn't going to let you off the hook, Nick. So, like I said, you've confused Carl and destroyed his family, but tomorrow they'll all be alive and they can try to put something back together. On the other hand, you'll be dead in about 10 minutes. You shouldn't drink with strangers, Nick, especially if you're going to sleep with his woman, who belonged to other men, and leave your drink unattended. Damn it, Nick. You were just so damn easy. I may have to pay Carl back a small amount. Nick was gurgling now, trying to speak, but he couldn't utter a word. There was a soft knock on the door, and I left him for a while to let my colleague in. He took one look at Nick. So, everything is fine here? Yeah. Nick only had a couple of minutes left. I hit him in the face to bring him to his senses. Nick, listen carefully. I am the last person you will ever meet on this earth, and I want you to know that this is the face of a man who loves his job. Nick's eyes fluttered, then closed. It took a few minutes for my colleague and me to erase everything. It didn't matter. We weren't in a hurry. The cops will look at the footage after they find the body, but they won't find anything. The 2 men captured by the surveillance camera in the bar and the camera in the hallway entering this room did not look at all like their real personalities. 90 minutes later, when our professionally designed disguise was removed and burned to the ground, we boarded 2 different flights. His to Montreal, mine to Bozeman, Montana. The job is done, and we won't talk anymore for a month or 2 until the next job comes up. Right before takeoff, I sent a short message to a man who would send a message to another man so that he would send a message to another man and deliver the message to Mr. Carl Danvers in Texas. The garbage has been taken out,